Hello, everybody. This is Eric Vierthaler of Vierthaler Studios back again for the next episode of Sit Down by the Fire. I'm here with my next special guest. Please introduce yourself.
I am Xander Goldman, and I appreciate your time today and having me on your show. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, certainly, of course. And I really greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here. And so, yeah, so how about you tell my audience what exactly is it that you do?
So, I would consider myself an independent filmmaker. I have two completed, and I am working on my third that we will film next year. Um, the previous two are Massacre Academy and Macabre Mountain, and the one next year is going to be called Crimson Harvest, and we're planning on filming it in Blairstown, New Jersey, which is near. It's not at, but it's near the original Camp Crystal Lake from Friday the 13th.
Ooh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So it's near it. It's not at it, but it's near it. So maybe a little bit of you know, the the history, the mystique, the wonder will travel over to us in Blairstown, which is very close.
Yeah, so when you say near, do you mean like half an hour away or what?
I haven't mapped it out. I would say less than a half an hour. I'd say probably 15, 20 minutes. And I
Wow.
do know I've other people have told me in Blairstown they kind of welcome people making movies and stuff. So they're familiar and they're as long as you're friendly to them, they'll be friendly to you about being there and making movies.
Nice, awesome. Well, that all sounds very exciting, and yeah, and I mean, knowing for Friday the 13th fans, they are definitely very loyal fans, and so and therefore, if they hear that there is a horror movie being filmed near one of the filming locations of the original movie, I mean, you already got an audience there.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's all very exciting. And so yeah, and so talk about these. So talk about these previous two movies that you have made.
Sure. Um, Masker Academy was released in 2021. It was filmed in Pittsburgh. Macabre Mountain was released last year, and it was filmed in Buchanan, West Virginia. And you can watch both of those on Amazon and Tubi. I tell people Tubi because it's free. So Masker Academy, Macabre Mountain, both free on Tubi, and you can just look them up and watch them today.
Yeah, and yeah, and I mean, putting it on Tubi really is a great way for marketing. I mean, considering that Tubi really is on the rise, considering that people don't have to pay for it, and and people definitely do like to save money. And from what I can tell, as far as my understanding goes with the research I've done, Tubi definitely is a great resource, like for people who love horror movies. Like I believe last night I was just going through the horror section on Tubi, and yeah, there's endless amounts of horror movies. And so yeah, so if you love horror movies, yeah, definitely go on Tubi.
Yes, Tubi has lots of independent movies, and it gives people that don't have big outlets for their movies. They can put them on there, and Tubi is pretty lenient on accepting of your movie. They're starting to tighten up a little bit, um, but they do have some quality control requirements. You just can't put anything on there. They do have some quality control items that you have to abide by, but
Right.
as long as you meet their minimum requirements, they'll put your film. They're not going to rate your film as bad, and they're not going to accept it. For its content and in storyline, they're not going to do that. But they do have, like I said, a minimum requirement on quality control, things like sound and picture, and they do require closed captioning. So there is some requirements, but as they're not going to grade your movie. They're not going to do that. So they basically allow everyone. I've heard that they are starting to be a little bit more selective. They got too big too fast. So they're starting to be a little bit more selective. But as long as you meet these minimum requirements and your movies are half decent, and they have to meet a minimum time too. I can't tell you exactly what that number is. It might be 45 or 60 minutes. So if you have a movie, it has to make 45 or 60 minutes. I've heard that some shorts might be accepted that are over 30, but I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure on that. But it you have to make it's not for shorts. What the number is, I don't know. If it's 30 or 45 or 60. But that's
Yeah,
one thing is shorts they won't take.
yeah. One of the loopholes that I've heard people did with shorts on Tubi is that first they will play their movie and then afterwards they'll play it again. But when they play it again, it's but this time it's with like a commentary. I mean, I guess that's one way how people can get around that.
Sounds good. I've never thought of that, but that sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I guess it depends on the length of the movie. Or like if the movie's long enough where you played it twice, like if it still can make that requirement. I actually was in a horror movie over the summer. It was a short one, and yeah, and we talked about putting it on Tubi, and then and then we're like, oh, I don't know if we'll make that time frame. And then I thought the commentary idea. Unfortunately, we didn't. Unfortunately, we still didn't make that requirement. But yeah, if you want to check that out, it's actually on the 406 Boys YouTube channel. So
Okay, so you have it on YouTube.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome. How's that going for you?
The movie actually did get released, and I am definitely very satisfied.
Good. 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 I know a lot of people are saying YouTube is the way to go now. They actually say YouTube is better than Tubi.
Oh yeah.
I've heard from someone on Facebook that their YouTube revenue this month surpassed their Tubi revenue.
Oh wow, that is news to me.
So I can tell you my Tubi revenues have not been good for a couple months, and I don't know why. I've heard perhaps that advertisers are cutting back on the amounts that they're giving to Tubi. Also, it could be viewership. People get busy in the summer.
Yep.
They're even though we're glued to our phones and our computers and TVs, we at least in North America, during the summer months which is May, June, July, August, September, we're outside and doing other things, so that may be playing a part. Also, I unfortunately don't have anything from South America, Southern Hemisphere, that I could tell you about. I think there's a little bit of money coming in from Australia, but it's not much that I can really decipher what's going on. So I hope the revenues go up. I hope it's just a summer, lull, and when people, start coming inside because it's cold and it gets darker quicker, that they'll start watching more. That's my hope.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I mean, a lot of people go on vacation during the summertime because that's when they have time. So yeah, I mean, it could be a lot of things, but yeah, I mean, it also could be the marketing too. I mean, I mean, it really could be a lot of external factors like that we're just not aware of.
Yes, I don't have the answers right now, but I've heard it's revenues on Tubi are going down. It could be a lull, but I've heard YouTube is starting to get better. So I don't know if YouTube has gotten better advertisers, that are bringing in more money, or YouTube is becoming more popular percentage wise. and growing, I don't know the exact answer to tell you, but a couple people have said YouTube is um, better than Tubi right now. So we'll have to see.
Oh yeah, certainly so. And yeah, and as far as not having the answers, I mean, it certainly always is okay to say that you don't know it. It's because it's better for you to say that you don't know rather than to act like that you do know.
I wish I had the answers, all the
Yeah, yeah,
facts,
yeah.
but
Of course,
I
yeah.
don't know. I can just make like sort of assumptions. So
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, the best thing that you can do is to make an educated guess.
that's that's all I can do. But I wish I did know the facts, because then I would try to do something better on YouTube or Tubi, or figure something else out. It's just it's it's tough because the revenues have gone down, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that you just have to learn to adapt to all that.
Right. It's nothing that you or I, or basically most of us, can control. So we just have to do our best, right? That's all we can
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah,
Just try to
yeah.
do our best for things that are not in our control. I can't control YouTube or Tubi or Amazon. So
Right, yeah, exactly. And ultimately, what matters most is how do you respond to all of that.
how do I respond? I cry in my pillow every night because my revenues are down. No, I I just I just realize that other people are going through the same struggles. It's not just my movies; it's other people too. And I've seen on Facebook forums that people have said their revenues have gone down a lot. I was at a horror convention where I was a guest. It was about a week and a half ago, and the gentleman said, "I'm not going to say his name, so I don't want to give his information out, but
Oh yeah.
he went from thousands of dollars down to hundreds of dollars a month. So it's just not me; it's affecting all of us kind of equally. So
Yeah, that definitely would be pretty hard to deal with. But hey, I mean, ultimately, you just gotta do the best that you can.
that's all we can do. Another exciting thing, we could talk about Terrifier for hours upon hours, but they kind of broke the mold, and they're doing very well in theaters.
Oh,
I
definitely,
thought
yeah.
I thought theaters were going to be dead, especially after COVID. Theaters are going to go bankrupt, they're going to go dead, and everything's going to be streaming. But they have sort of shown us that there still is a market for theaters.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is definitely very nice to know that because honestly, that was something I was getting concerned about too. I was like, oh no, like especially so many movies that shouldn't have bombed last year did bomb, like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny and all these other movies that shouldn't have bombed, but they did, and I was like, oh no, this isn't looking good. And then Barbie ended up being a much bigger hit than people were anticipating. It's like they knew it was going to be a hit, but not that big of a hit, and yeah, and little did we all know that Barbie would end up being the highest grossing film of last year. So I was like, okay, maybe that's hope. And then yeah, and then movies that came out this year. And yeah, and especially for Terrifier 3, I mean, knowing that that's an independent film and it's number one at the box office. That is huge.
It's supposed to be number one in America and the world. That's what I've seen. I can't prove it, but that's what I've seen. It's the number one movie in the world. So that's pretty impressive.
Oh, it is, yeah. And now I might be wrong. I would need to do research on that. Something tells me there might have been an independent film that did that once before. Like I think maybe the Blair Witch Project did. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. I mean, that's something that the filmmakers definitely should be very very proud of that.
Yes, I'm going to speak on the Blair Witch a little bit. So, um, I okay. So I am usually at the New Jersey Horror Cons, and the three people from the Blair Witch, the stars, are going to be there. I do believe they're going to be there at the March 1st and 2nd in Edison, New Jersey Horror Con, and I'm going to try to talk to them. But they actually sort of are not happy and got ripped off. So they made the movie for about 100 grand, but they signed off on all their rights. So basically, they just got paid for being there, and it was not a lot. The budget, yes, was 100,000, but the marketing budget was millions of dollars. So that's an important thing that people got to remember is marketing budgets. It's not that you made your movie cheap. You have to have a marketing plan, marketing budget, do something. With the Terrifier movies, I do think they have a cult following. I think they have organic free marketing. How much paid marketing they do, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Terrifier 3 probably had some type of marketing. The first Terrifier, and I don't think went to theaters. The second one did. So the second one mightn't, for its theater run, might not have had any marketing money. I don't know. For this one, I feel it did.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense since that the third one has an even bigger budget than the second one.
Yes, it does.
It would make sense that that would be the case. And yeah, and even when that Winnie the Pooh horror movie came out, I mean, just by going viral like on the internet on like Bloody Disgusting and all these other websites,
Yes.
from what I can tell, they didn't have a budget for marketing whatsoever. And sometimes you will be lucky in that there will be free marketing like that. So
Yes. I think they did very well with the free marketing, the organic, people talking about it, people talking about, for the second one that a guy threw up in the theater, which was never really, from the gore. Now, what exactly happened there? I don't know. Did the guy see too much gore and he had to throw up? I don't know, but that's what people talk about. There's so gory. This guy had to throw up and he left, and the paramedics came. How much that is exactly true, I don't know. I wasn't there, but
yeah.
free marketing, free organic marketing. It was so gory, the guy had to throw up. So, I do know the second and third one are longer. They're longer movies. So, if I was in a theater and watching a 2-hour movie, maybe I would get hungry. Maybe I get too hot. Maybe I ate too much. So there's a lot of possibilities with a longer movie that stuff happens. Because I would get impatient just sitting there. Because most horror movies are around 90 minutes. That's the secret number that usually independent horror movies, they want to try to. That's the ceiling, is 90 minutes. I myself prefer like 82 to 85 minutes.
Yeah, which I guess that would depend on the person, like if they're willing to sit down and watch a movie for that long. And yeah, and that's one of the things that made Terrifier 2 unusual.
Yeah.
I mean if that's a good or bad thing, I guess it just really depends on the person. But yeah, I mean, other than Terrifier 2, I can't recall of any other slasher movie that's that long.
I can't think of anyone. Yeah. So it's a risk. It's a risk that they did that. But hey, it works. Works very well. Look what they're doing now. Number one movie in the world. So they did something right. So congratulations to them. Now I will ask you a question. I'll interview you. What
Okay.
do you think is, because some of my friends and colleagues and other people in the industry, we have a discussion about this. So when you think, I'll ask you about your opinion, and I'll ask you about the public's opinion, the public's view. What do you think about when you think about the Terrifier movies. Now, I'll give you two choices, basically two choices. Do you think, wow, that's such a gory, bloody movie, and that's why you and the public like it, or do you think it's like what's first, or do you think it's a sort of a scary clown that has humor?
That's a very, very good question.
I'm not saying you have to choose either or. All I'm just saying is which one is first. Do you think of Terrifier movies? Do you think of Art the Clown, or do you think of just it's so gory that I love it? Do you love Art the Clown first and be like, yeah, I really like Art the Clown as, you know, the killer, or do you think of, oh, it's just a bunch of blood and guts, and that's really the first reason I like it?
You know, it's really tough to say because a lot of people I have met will say both. A lot of people I have met will say like just how extreme the gore was, especially in the second movie during that bedroom scene, and a lot of people will say that it's Art the Clown itself. But yeah, I mean, having a very marketable character definitely helps. And I mean, if you look back at history, like with all these other horror movie franchises, like Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Child's Play, all of them have a marketable character, like Michael Myers, Chucky, Freddy, Jason. So I think Art the Clown is a very marketable character, considering that now with Terrifier 3, it's now set in Christmas time, which then means you can set Art the Clown in all these different settings and whatnot, which makes him more interesting of a character rather than seeing the same thing over and over and over again. So, but also having that extreme level of gore also does make it stand out, like against all of its competition. And yeah, and even from what I heard, even all of the filmmakers who made Saw X were saying that, yeah, I mean, since that these really gory horror movies are back on the market because of the Terrifier movies, it actually helped us to be able to get away with like having Saw X like be as gory as it is. So I say it's definitely both. But if I had to pick one over the other, I mean, a movie can be as gory as it wants to be, but it needs to have something marketable about it. And Art the Clown, at one point, I was thinking that, there have been so many killer clown horror movies. What else can you really do with it? But then along came Art the Clown, and he's vastly different from a lot of other killer clowns that we've got in movies. First of all, he's not colorful, he's black and white, and the fact that he doesn't talk.
I agree. I agree. So, what is your answer? Blood and guts, and gore, or Art the Clown? What comes first?
I definitely would say Art first.
I am going to agree with you. That is
Okay,
my
awesome.
because I was just thinking about this weekend, and some people say no, it's blood and guts, and I'm just thinking no, it's blood and guts part of it, but
Yes,
that's secondary to Art the Clown being the killer.
certainly, yeah. It's because you can have all the blood and guts that you want, but if you don't have that marketable character behind it, all the blood and guts isn't going to leave much of an impact.
I agree. I agree. Did you ever see Green Inferno? That was a bloody
Yes,
gory movie.
yes, I did. I saw that in theaters. When it got to that first death scene, there was this guy who came in with his kid, and then as soon as
Oh
that
no.
scene happened, him and his kid had to leave.
Oh no. Oh no. But I almost think that the like a humorous clown sort of makes it not as upsetting. Like
Certainly
it's
so.
tolerable. If you had, you know, something else that just some killer that you couldn't see or you're frightened of, um, or someone that was like disfigured or something like that, you might be more disturbed by it. But you have a clown that's funny, that makes jokes, like nonverbal jokes. And I think people are even taking their kids, and I'm like, oh boy, like younger kids. And I think it's because of the clown. Like it's acceptable because the clown's funny.
Yeah, and even when I saw Terrifier 3 in theaters, like it was packed and there were a lot of kids in the theater. And me and
Yeah.
my friend who I saw with, she was saying, "Oh my goodness, there's so many kids here." And all these kids were wearing Terrifier shirts. A lot of
Yeah.
people even wearing Terrifier shirts, and they all had, and the character that was on all their shirts was Art.
That's right. That's right. So I just think that people sort of give a pass to um a comedic clown because probably because it's just it's not it's not real. Like there's not a funny clown running around like dressed like that in black and white, like you said. Like it just doesn't exist. Could Michael Myers exist? Yeah. Could Jason exist? Yeah. Freddy Krueger's a little disfigured, but I'm just saying the way they look is it possible? Probably. Is someone to dress up in a black and white outfit like you said and have like comedic things? Probably not. So it's more like almost fantasy.
And yeah, and it also helps that there also is the like that comedic touch to Art the clown.
Yeah.
Like in Terrifier 2, there's that part like where he's watching Sienna in the Halloween store, and then he's wearing all of like those goofy shades.
Yeah. See how that's an sort of an iconic moment that sticks with you. It's Spirit Halloween. They got a picture of Art the Clown with his little shades on.
Yep, yep.
And when I saw that, I was like, "Holy crap! Look at that! Art the Clown with his little sunglasses on, made it the Spirit Halloween."
Yeah, like last time I was at the Spirit Halloween store, I saw so much Art the Clown merchandise, and people were saying, "Yeah, Art the Clown is on the rise to be the new horror icon." I'm like, heck,
Yeah,
I argue Art already is now.
I mean, in the present time, within the last few years, what other killer? It We'll take for example, in a Violent Nature. Did you see that one? I saw parts of it.
I
Uh,
have not.
it's gory, but is it number one movie in the world? No, it's nowhere near it. Did they make some money and people talk about it? Yeah, but the killer just isn't as memorable.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like it's all about leaving an impact on people, and yeah, the Terrifier movies definitely did that, and yeah, and so yeah, like I've even met people who have said that yeah, in their own opinion, they thought that the original Terrifier wasn't that good of a movie, but what made it what it is now is the character of Art.
I I agree, and I think it's the first one. It's Art sawing that woman in half. That made it from kind of just an independent movie into something that people organically talk about.
Certainly, yeah, and I will never forget when I first saw the first Terrifier. I had no idea, that it was that level of extreme gore. That when it got to that scene where he saws the girl in half, spoilers for people who haven't seen it, my jaw literally dropped.
Right, right. I was like, what the heck is it? Yeah, me too. I was like, what the heck is this? I was like, this is, above what I thought was going to ever happen. But yeah, that scene, I think it was Art the Clown doing that elevated, from an indie horror movie to something people are talking about
Yeah,
forever, forever. Yeah.
yeah, and it also really helps like with that performance like by David Howard Thornton. Like there are people like who have their opinions. Like there are people who say that the original guy, Mike, whatever his last name was, Mike something something, like from All Hallows Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there are some people that say that he did a better job, but it seems to me at least that the general consensus is that people think that David did a much better job.
Yeah, I just think that the movies have elevated themselves, going from, I've heard 25,000 for the first one. I've heard $250,000 for the second budgets we're talking about,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
could have been higher, and then 2 million for this one.
yeah.
Um, when you get into the higher budgets, then you could take more time with shots, get better cameras, get better lenses, get better lighting, get better editing, get better special effects and post. So you're going from something that's just shoestring budget to now $2 million.
Right, and I
It's
mean,
really different.
oh, certainly, yeah. Like even watching Terrifier 3 compared to the second one, I'm like, wow. And I mean, I could definitely tell that they got different cameras, and I mean, now I'm like, okay, then what's the budget going to be for Terrifier 4?
So I do believe, I think the second one had some crowdfunding money.
Yep.
The third one was not crowdfunded, and probably a studio gave them money. As far as I know, Terrifier 3 was made in a rush. They started, I believe, in March of this year, and that's, basically 7 months from start to completion.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's start of principal photography. So that's really rushed. But I have a feeling that they got money from a studio or a source, and they said, we gotta catch this lightning in the bottle. Let's do it. Let's get it out before Halloween, and they pushed it to the limits, and they got it done. Look at it. They got it done. For the Halloween season, it's number one in the world. Congratulations. If they would have waited, would it have done as well in April, March? I don't know. Probably not.
Probably
I don't.
not. And yeah, and they probably wanted to release it during the Halloween season
Yeah.
because of all of this art merchandise like that's being sold at
Well, I didn't think about that too.
Halloween. So yeah.
I'm just saying from my standpoint, if it was me and Spirit Halloween said, what what deal can we make so you guys have this movie going in October, and then we can have all the Art the Clown stuff in our, which they do, in all of our stores. Like, and if you see their step and repeat wall at the premiere, Spirit Halloween is on it. So I mean, if it was me and they said we'll write you a check for $1 million, okay, I'll get working on it. I'll do it in 7 months, because there's a plan there, a financial and logistics plan.
Oh,
Started in March and get it
certainly,
get it done by, it's stressing people out to get it done, but they did.
certainly, yeah. And I mean, I feel like that no one's gonna ever want to say no to a check of $1 million.
I don't know what it would be.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
maybe when I have free time I'll Google it, but I'm just saying, because I'm more of a business mind than um, a creative mind. I not really good at writing scripts, or I think I do act in a few movies, and I'm very humble. I really don't think I'm the greatest actor. Um, But to see how things go logistically and time and months and everything and budgets, I'm very good at that. So whoever approached Spirit Halloween, and or if they might have did it reverse, they Spirit Halloween approached them, just whatever, 500,000, maybe it was the whole 2 million. I don't know. Um, that's just smart business doing it, because the number one thing. Let's see if you know what's the number one thing in especially independent movies. What's the number one thing? Money. We don't
Yeah.
have any money. We don't have any money to film these things. It's very hard to make a good, decent movie and make your money back. Like a lot of people, not horror, but just make indie movies. They're great, but they never make their money back. It's just people they don't go to theaters to see them, or they just don't do well on streaming, and they just don't make their money back. But the number one thing is money. And you saw the second one, they crowdfunded it. So, and they took that money and they did a really great job. And then the second movie, they got their money somewhere else. They didn't do crowdfunding.
Yeah, and I mean, even when they made the original Terrifier, from what I heard, that they didn't get the full funding that they wanted, and so they made do with what they had. And yeah, like pretty much with the budget they had for the first Terrifier, they actually could have bought like an entire car with that money. And and it just shows like just how low the budget truly was for it. And then and afterwards, the first Terrifier became what it became, and then the rest is history. And I mean, heck, even David Howard Thornton, like who plays Art, he even said, like in a few interviews, he said that he didn't think anybody would ever see the original Terrifier, but he said, yeah, and I mean, ultimately, I did it because I thought that would be a good opportunity for me, and we'll see where this takes me. Now I can imagine that he's really, really glad that he took that opportunity now.
Sometimes those things work out. You got to, a lot of times it's taking chances, um, and networking and don't turning things down. Um, myself, like acting wise, like I try to see what people are doing and what money they have, and I do a lot of stuff for free. Um, it's just a network, taking a chance, meeting people. So he did a smart thing there. He took a chance. Maybe it's never going to be anything, and maybe he really didn't make a bunch of money, which probably no one did off the first one. But he took a chance, and that's what a lot of things are in the indie horror world. Just taking a chance that something's going to go right. Uh, Blair Witch is a little different, but those people, they barely got anything, and I do feel bad for them. I will say, if you look up the Blair Witch, the three main actors, they hardly got paid anything, and I think it was Sony, and they went to Sony and be like, hey, you made a lot of money off of us and continue to make a lot of money off us as an iconic movie. Can you help us out? You're still using our images and everything. Can you help us out? And they won't. As far as I know, they won't give them any money or help or anything. Um,
That's a real shame. And yeah, as far as what I've heard, I heard of a very similar story to that. From what I heard, like that those actors, the way as to how that they make their money off of that is by going to all of these cons.
yes, yep. And I will see them in March. More than likely, I'll be a guest there too, signing autographs. Um,
Nice.
yeah, in the New Jersey Horror Con. It'll be in Edison, March 1st and 2nd next year at the Edison Convention Center in Edison. So New Jersey HorrorCon. It's always a great time. I suggest everyone come out, and the 3 Blair Witch movie stars, will be there. And then the next show, well, there's one in December. Felissa Rose will be there, and I will be there in December. I think it's
Nice.
December. Yep, same place, a 1-day show. And then it goes back. It's like the 15th and 16th. Friday, I think it's Friday and Saturday. It might be Saturday and Sunday. The New Jersey HorrorCon goes back to the Showboat in Atlantic City. The Showboat in Atlantic City. And the headliner there is Kane Hodder. So he is the headliner of that show. You know, it's supposed to be Jason Takes AC, Atlantic City. So
Oh man, and I just love that title, and I mean, especially with it being a callback to Part 8.
Right. A lot of people talk about Jason Takes New York City. So, yeah.
Yeah, which I've even heard some people retitle that movie "Jason Takes the Titanic." It's because it's mostly Jason on that ship getting to New York. So
I will say, as a filmmaker, maybe budgets.
yeah,
If you could film in a studio, I would think. I mean, I don't have all the answers. Filming New York City with permits and everything is going to be very expensive. Very expensive, just for permits and closing roads and everything would be very, very, very expensive. If you have the money, that's fine, but you have to realize the studio, they want to make a return on investment. They don't want to make Star Wars for $1 billion. They want to make something, and they want to make their money back plus a return. They aren't necessarily in it to make just a movie that's just great and everyone will love. No, they're there to make a profit. They're a business, and it's a tough business too.
oh, it is, yeah, and yeah, like I've heard a lot of people complain about how, oh, why is there so many Fast and the Furious movies? And I'm like, well, it's because they make a lot of money.
It's a business, and it's a cash cow now. It's the studios know that they can set a number out there, get it filmed, and it will give them a return. I mean, that's what the studios want to do. They want to make a return on their money. They're a business. They don't want to go bankrupt.
Yeah, yeah,
Bankrupt people be out of jobs and stuff. They don't want to do that. They want to make a profit. You know?
yeah, exactly, yeah, and that's what I heard is exactly why Jason Takes Manhattan mostly takes place on the boat. It was because of budget reasons. It's because it's just so expensive to film in New York, and
Very
even
very expensive.
yeah, I mean, heck, even with that being the highest grossing Friday the 13th, sorry, the highest budget Friday the 13th film at that time, even then, they still couldn't really afford to go film it in New York at that time.
I don't blame them. Like I don't blame them. I think it's clever. You have the end of the movie there basically, and you get a lot of it on the ship, which is much more reasonable. And that was probably shot in a studio.
Probably, yeah.
I don't I don't think I'd have to go back and rewatch it to look at it, but I don't think most of it was shot on the ship. It was just the studio that they probably built, carpenters built.
Probably, yeah. I would imagine so.
Yeah. So I don't blame them. Don't blame them. It's not that they want to film the whole thing in New York City. It's just it would be really, really expensive. Really expensive. So, it's a business decision.
It is, yeah. Like, I even heard some fans say that, oh, well, maybe instead of New York, they could have had it in Las Vegas or something. like that. And I believe that I even heard a rumor once saying that Part 9 originally was going to be in Las Vegas. I don't know how true that is.
Refresh me. What was 9 about? Where was it?
Part 9 was Jason Goes to Hell.
That was really not popular, right? I don't want to say anything bad about it. That was not a real popular one.
Well, it just really varies on who you ask. And funny because I actually did have Adam Marcus, like who directed that movie, on this podcast too. And yeah, and I mean, Adam's definitely a very fun guy to talk to. But yeah, I mean, there are some people like who love the fact that he did something different with it, and it's more of like a body horror movie. And there's some like who are so angry like how it's a different movie. I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, you just really just can't please everybody.
That's true. That's true. Like, I will get back to my films. Macabre Mountain, I loosely, not exactly, but loosely, very loosely, took ideas, just general, very general ideas from Halloween 3. I really like Halloween 3. So a lot of people hate that movie. I really like it. Um, I like the soundtrack.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I really like the movie. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I was younger, I jumped on the bandwagon and hate on Halloween 3
Did you?
for the popular reason, oh, there's no Michael Myers.
Correct.
And then, as I got older, I became more open-minded and not as closed-minded as I was when I was younger. And yeah, and it seems to me that Halloween 3 is getting a lot more love like as time goes on. It seems to me at least I don't think it gets as much hate as it once did. And
I think people hated it because it didn't have Michael Myers.
yep, yeah, exactly. Like I don't think it was marketed right. And and yeah, and people were saying, "Oh, it should have been called Season of the Witch," but I'm like, but that wouldn't
Correct.
make sense either. It's because it's not about a witch.
No, no, I heard that too, and yeah, that um doesn't. I'll show you here. I have the little CD.
Ooh,
Yeah, so it does have the
cool.
yeah, it does have the witch on it there. The only thing I can think of is the witch is one of the Halloween masks, but that should be equal with the jack o' lantern and the skull.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not like that. That's the main villain of the entire movie.
Yeah, I got this from Alan Howarth. I got him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he signed it.
Ooh,
Yeah, he signed it for me.
that is cool.
Yeah, yeah, down. Yeah, right here.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I saw him at one of the, which was really cool. Um, One of the conventions. It was the New Jersey Horror Con last October in Atlantic City, and they're like, Alan's doing a special thing on Saturday night in like the lounge area, and one of the friends of mine that he was in the last movie and he's going to be in Crimson Harvest. He's like, you coming down to see it? And I was tired. I was like, oh, I don't know. Are you going to go? And he's like, yeah, I'm going. So I went up to my room and I changed and I come back down and it was really good. It was really good. What he did was took all the movies that he did the music for and he did like spliced them in and changed the music a little bit and it looked like he was doing some DJ stuff. But basically he took the music and he put it in like little spliced videos of everything these been in. I'm trying to think of them. Christine, I think.
Right.
I think it was Christine. He did. There was one with Rowdy Roddy Piper. It was They Watch or something.
Right.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other ones. It was really good. It was really good. So, but yeah, Halloween 3 he did was my favorite. Um, out of and it's partially because of and I think he did most of the Halloween movies, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Alan did Halloween 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Did he do the first one?
Alan, I don't think he.
Okay.
I don't think he did. No.
Okay. 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 But anyways, I do like Halloween 3. It's sort of a favorite, but guess what's missing what we're talking about? Michael Myers. People like that iconic killer in it, and it was missing that, and I think people hated it because of that. They wanted to see Michael Myers. It's not because it was a bad movie. The kills or anything was really bad, and I don't think it was bad. I think people just wanted to see Michael Myers. They
Yeah.
wanted that iconic killer. And when they didn't get that, they threw a fit.
Yeah, and I mean, it was all about that. It was all about like that marketing, and then like imagine if they did that with Terrifier 3 instead of Art the Clown. It's something else entirely, and that knowing that people got attached to that character, and then they're giving something completely different. It's like, okay, this is not what we paid for, and knowing that it has the Halloween name to it.
Yep.
Yeah, that it makes sense why that for Halloween 4 and every movie that came out afterwards, they and then went back to having Michael Myers in it. And it does make you think about like the butterfly effect. Like, what if say if Halloween 3 was a bigger hit and if it didn't get the hate that it had, like all of the future movies afterwards probably would have went the anthology route.
Yeah. Yeah. But it didn't. It didn't have the iconic killer.
Yep.
People hated it. I remember just hated it. But I think as years gone on, same thing as you. Um, you know, I liked it more. I guess when I was younger, I didn't like it. I was like, what the heck's this? No Michael Myers. What's going on? Not, I didn't like it or really. I already had in my mind that I didn't want to like it. I didn't give it a chance. So
Yeah. And then sometimes I feel like that when you get older, it's when you get older a lot of times is when you become more open-minded about things. And then yeah, and then I finally rewatched it a few years ago, and yeah, and I'm like, okay, this is not nearly as bad as I once said it was. Like I remember when I was younger, I purposely rated it a 1 star on IMDb only because
oh no.
the no Michael Myers. And to be honest, I feel like a lot of people like on IMDb did that only because there's no Michael Myers, and a lot of the reviews on IMDb at that time all had 1 stars. Like, no Michael Myers, lame.
Right, right, right. Very close minded. Very
Yeah,
close.
definitely.
Yeah. So um I did take some elements and put that into Macabre Mountain. Some of the masks, I have some masks in there, and because I like the masks in Halloween 3, the witch and the skull and the jack o' lantern. I like the guy's name was Connell Cochran, I think.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Connell Cochran. Um, so he was an older gentleman that kind of was, bad, but he wasn't doing any of the bad things. Like he was sort of a bad guy in control of stuff, but I'm saying he didn't kill anyone. He didn't shoot anyone. Um, he didn't do any of that. Now people working under him, or scared of him, whatever, did his bidding, but he didn't do any of the violence. He didn't do any of the violence. And I have an older gentleman, and I said, watch Halloween 3, and that's the character, loosely, very loosely, that I want you to be. I want you just be an evil old guy that's not going to be doing any violent acts or anything like that. You
Right.
just sort of be scary and creepy, just being normal. Um, in a horror movie. And he didn't even in Halloween 3 didn't even really die like a horrible death. He just got whatever zapped by the rocks or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So, but yeah, I like Halloween 3 a lot. I put some of the elements in Macabre Mountain. Yeah.
Yeah. And now remind me, is that your horror movie that's gonna be coming out, or is it one of the ones that already is out?
So Massacre Academy and Macabre Mountain are done. They are on Tubi. Crimson Harvest is what we're gonna film next year. Don't want to self promote, but we're running an Indiegogo campaign, just as Terrifier did. So look where Terrifier is now. They did Indiegogo campaigns before for funding and everything.
Okay.
So Indiegogo crowdfunding is not for everyone. I get it. With me, every penny that I get gets put into the movie. I don't. I I feel that money is donated to be in the movie. I don't take any of the crowdfunding money and put it in my pocket. It all goes towards um, actors, trying to get famous actors. You see the Terrifier, they moved up. The first one they didn't have anyone. Second one they got a couple. They got Felissa Rose um, in the second Terrifier, and the third one here they got Dan Roebuck and
They
the one.
also. Oh.
Man,
Oh.
good.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. But yeah, in the third movie, they actually got Tom Savini.
Yes. 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 And he probably doesn't come free. So
Probably not.
um yeah, all the money that I get through the crowdfunding goes into the movie. None of it. I don't put any of the money in my pocket for my own personal self. So Terrifier crowdfunded, not the third one, but the other ones. Um, and same with me. We're filming in Blairstown, New Jersey. Next year probably will be May and September. That's what kind of I'm looking at. If you have any questions, um, I do offer acting roles. I do offer internships. I do offer things just like one person just wanted to see what I do, with these movies because it's my financial responsibility. But what I do when I'm on set from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, what struggles because they want to make a movie and they've never done one. They just want to see what I don't want to say they want to see me struggle, but that's actually what it is. It's me, struggling because there's a lot of stuff going on. It's not making a movie, especially when you're on set that day. There's a lot of stuff that happens, and that's what they wanted to see. Just when things don't go perfectly, what are the steps to make the best out of it and do what we can control for things that we can't control. How do we react and things that we can change and we can.
Oh yeah, certainly so. And yeah, and so you're saying like for that Indiegogo, is that up now? Oh, okay. Well, I guess that does her then. But yeah, thank you all for watching this next episode of Sit Down by the Fire. Yeah, be sure to check out Xander and his films. You all have a fantastic day.